If I Fall by Ella Harper. Read by Harriet Madeley. Recorded at Pinewood Studios, 2018. Dear friends, I've thought long and hard about this, and I just want you to know that there's nothing any of you could have done differently. I'm a big mess, but it's not anyone's fault. I can't change what's happened, and the future looks too bleak for words. I'm really sorry for what I'm about to do, but I just don't want to be here anymore. Thanks for everything, and TTFN, as we always used to say at uni. What's that? The senior paramedic held the piece of paper up. Suicide note. Oh, the other paramedic looked pained. Makes sense. This person really wanted to go. Yep, hate these call-outs. The paramedic nodded as they prepared the stretcher. Me too. The person standing nearby spoke up. Sorry, what are the chances here? Is it a done deal? The more senior paramedic stepped forward. Difficult to say, but prepare for the worst just in case, okay? Okay. God. Really? God, this can't be happening. I'm so sorry, and I might be wrong. The paramedic reached out a hand. Well done for getting here when you did, though. And for such fantastic resuscitation skills. The friend shrugged helplessly. I should have done more. I should have got here sooner. Don't blame yourself, the paramedic said firmly. When someone wants to do this, they're determined, they're hell-bent, and in my experience, they'll do whatever it takes. Listen, we need to go now, okay? The friend looked devastated. Yes, of course. I'll follow on behind. Great. The senior paramedic gestured to his colleague, and they expertly manoeuvred the stretcher through the doorway. The friend stood for a moment, motionless. How the hell could this have happened? What could possibly have been so terrible, so unbearable, that suicide was the only answer? And how on earth could none of them have known what was going on behind closed doors? They were all friends, for goodness sake. They should have been looking out for one another. They should have known. They should have been able to stop this from happening. But they hadn't. One of them had been spiralling into despair, and they had all been too blind to see it. And now that person was probably gone. What kind of friends were they to have let this dreadful thing happen? Hadn't they always said they would look out for one another? Look after one another? The friend rushed out to follow the ambulance, overwhelmed with guilt and hopelessness, because one of them had fallen. And despite all of their mutual promises, despite everything they had been through, no one had been there to catch them. And that was unforgivable. 2003. Wow. Layla turned to face Connie on the picnic mat. Last day of uni. I never thought we'd get here, did you? Connie pushed her dark fringe out of her eyes and stared up at a clear blue sky. Perfect, bar 2 puffs of cloud in the distance. Tell me about it. Finals, what a bloody nightmare. I only left the house to sit exams and buy fags. She held an arm up to Layla and glanced at her legs, which stretched out under torn-off denim shorts. Look how pale I am. I haven't seen the sun in weeks. My freckles are fading. We're making up for it today, Layla said, shielding her eyes. What gorgeous weather. And technically, I'm not actually leaving yet. I still have to complete my master's. A master's degree. To listen to people's problems and say, and what do you think it all means? JJ propped himself up on his elbows and winked. He tucked the edge of his pristine white t-shirt into his denim shorts. And how did it make you feel? Resisting the urge to stick her tongue out at him, Layla pulled a face instead. I know, shocking, isn't it? Anyone would think you could literally just invite people into your front room willy-nilly and give unsolicited advice. She opened a can of cider. It let out a satisfying hiss. Do shut it, JJ. Some of us actually intend to use our brains. Ouch! JJ pretended to look injured, his thick brows furrowing. He joined her by opening a can of cider. I do have a brain, actually, Lay, but as I was also blessed with good looks and big muscles, I decided to use those instead. Yawn, Layla replied lazily. Big muscles, small... She left the comment hanging. JJ guffawed. Oh, really? Do I have to prove something to you? Layla shuddered. God forbid. You two are like an old married couple, Connie said, scrabbling around for her cigarettes. Are you sure you don't fancy one another? Layla scoffed, but knew exactly why Connie had asked her oh-so-innocent question. Christ, no. JJ smiled and looked away. Layla was a very pretty girl, but, as Connie well knew, JJ preferred brunettes, ones with faded freckles. He let his eyes wander back to her. Had he made the biggest mistake of his life? Or was he right in thinking that he was simply way too young to settle down? You shouldn't smoke, Jonas commented, nudging Connie. As if realizing his tone sounded reprimanding, he reached out to touch her cheek. I worry about you, Con. Can't help it. He turned to his friend. Back me up, JJ. Tell her it's bad for her. Do the whole I'm going to be a personal trainer thing. JJ shook his head, laughing. Don't get me involved in a lover's tiff over fags. Besides, I don't think anyone can tell Connie what to do. He met her eyes and held her gaze. Connie's eyes flickered for a moment, and she felt her stomach fizz slightly. JJ was so... Well, it didn't really matter what JJ was anymore. It had once. Once it had mattered very much indeed. But Connie had had to get over that. So now JJ was just her friend, instead of her best friend, and everything else he had been for a while. I'm glad someone knows to leave me alone with my cigs, she said lightly, feeling she should respond. She smiled at Jonas. I guess I'll give up one day, but today I'm still a student and I'm making the most of it. Jonas smiled back. Fair enough. God, did Connie have the same feelings he did? Jonas felt a flash of panic. Connie gave him a glance that spoke volumes, and Jonas relaxed. JJ watched them for a second before putting his sunglasses on. Are you really going to be a personal trainer? Layla asked, eyeing JJ's broad shoulders. I mean, you look the part, but do you think you might get a tad bored? JJ tucked his hands behind his head, giving her the benefit of his impressive biceps. Shouldn't imagine so, no. I think it's a job with the potential to be immensely satisfying. Layla grinned, whipping bored housewives into shape, in and out of the gym. JJ pretended to smirk. Connie bristled, then mentally told herself off. What did she care about what JJ did now? Fat city workers more like, Jonas joked, patting his stomach. Well, not yet, but who knows, in a few years' time? He squeezed Connie's bare knee. Only joking. I intend to hang on to my svelte physique for as long as I can. Jonas unconsciously sucked his stomach in. He was rather more worried about losing Connie than his average abs. She was slightly out of his league. Jonas knew that, but that only made him want to try harder. Which, as his father, an eminently successful solicitor with his own company, had always taught him, was never a bad thing. Connie lit a cigarette with some defiance, but blew the smoke away from her friends. Smoking had been making her feel rather sick lately, but she didn't want it to look as if she could be told what to do. She had felt under the weather for a few weeks now, but then she'd been working herself into oblivion to try for a first. Let's face it can only go downhill for us all from now on. Connie wasn't sure this was entirely true, but she liked to throw out the odd semi-controversial comment. It was the would-be journalist in her. Hopefully the actual journalist soon. Connie faltered inwardly. Journalism was a super competitive industry, and even though she felt she had a talent of sorts, going out in the real world was hugely daunting. Still, she was going to go for it. What a depressing thought. Layla lay back on the rug and twirled a lock of blonde hair between her fingers. But personally, I think we're all way too fabulous to get chubby and disillusioned in the future. Are we? Fabulous, that is. Connie smiled. Maybe it's just us that thinks that. No way, Jonas said, staring at her long legs. Layla sighed. Jonas and JJ thought Connie was fabulous at any rate, and who could blame them? Connie was pretty fabulous. Leggy, bright, and with a face that could probably look model-esque with a few tweaks. Layla hated that she periodically felt a stab of envy over her friend. But having spoken to her tutor, who was also a practicing therapist, Layla knew it was simply her inner ego airing her insecurities and occasional low self-esteem.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?